Let's see. Oh, look, it went live right away. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TED Show. We are on December 7th, Thursday, December 7th, episode 73, and I am with the amazing Shelley Lauten. We've had the best conversation for the last 20 or 25 minutes, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let me know. I'm so happy you're here, and let me know that you can hear us. Yesterday we had some static, and I listened to you guys, and we were able to fix it, so we're working on that, so let me know that you can hear Shelley and I, and if there's any static, I think I know what to do, but welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to
You
be
are
here.
all in your festive green.
I am.
You
Ready
look
for the
good,
holidays.
ready for the holidays.
You betcha.
Hey, Jerry. Hey, Thomas. Hey, Alice. Alice Weinberg says, love
Hi.
Shelley. And so we have so much to cover because I believe that what you're doing is it's on people's minds every day, and trying to find a solution to it, however that is. You have to be innovative, which I think I posted. Thank you, Michelle, for letting me know. Loud and clear. Okay, good. So we're good. So today we don't have any static. But give us a little history on you, because we want to jump into the Welcome Home Project and the commission, but give us a little history on you.
Well, I'm a native Floridian, so that's rare.
You are? Are you here? Or?
Grew up in Brevard County, so I'm a beach girl. Went to all the schools over in Brevard County. Came over here back in the way day when UCF was FTU, and I'm a graduate.
Did it change to UCF before you graduated?
It didn't. It actually changed when I went to grad school a couple years later.
Very
up
nice.
in Michigan. That's when it changed. But I went to FTU, now UCF, graduated, and have had just a crazy, wonderful career. Most of our time has been spent raising our family here in Central Florida.
That's awesome. So where did they go to school? Did they all stay here? What high school did they go to?
My kids? They went to Lake Highland.
Mine too.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
Love that school.
Yeah, they went.
I went to Colonial, though.
You did?
I did. It was fine back then.
So I did my first internship. Kind of was one of the reasons why I decided not to be a teacher for very long. My first job
was it at Colonial?
I did my internship at Colonial High School.
Oh my God! I was probably there.
No,
I
you were
probably
much
graduated.
Younger.
No, I don't
much
think
younger.
so. I loved
taught
it.
at Bishop Moore High School.
Oh,
That
you
was my
did?
first
Bishop
job.
Moore is a great school. Colonial was great back then. I mean, public. I went to Liberty Middle School too.
I went to Mel High.
Oh, you did? You went to Mel High? Yeah, Stacy we still have family over in Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach.
Yeah.
I love it over.
the beach.
I love Brevard County.
I love Brevard County.
So I love Melbourne Beach too.
Beach
Anytime my friend Scott, who's probably on here, I would love for you to let me use your condo anytime. I'll shoot a show over there.
Sounds good to me.
So you raised your family, but how did you always do non-profit work, not-for-profit work?
No, in fact, I've had a really wonderfully interesting, crazy career. I'm probably more like a millennial than I am a baby boomer in that I switch jobs every few years.
That's awesome, though.
Was a high school English teacher, then worked at the university level as a director of student activities. Then I got into corporate training and did leadership training all over the country. Had my own consulting firm, worked with everybody from the Chicago Tribune to Disney to whatever.
I saw that on you said you worked with Disney.
And then I went to work for Disney. So I went there for 10 years, had a wonderful decade during the Disney decade when all the growth was happening.
Yep.
I had wonderful opportunities there. And then I went to the Arnold Palmer Golf Management Company. So I had a corporate background, really was the essence of where I grew up. And then at the late 90s, Jacob Stewart, who at that time ran the Orlando Regional Chamber, asked me to come and help him think through what this region needed to be in the 21st century. Because that's
very forward
99,
thinking.
Turn of the century,
right?
And we created something called myregion.org, which brought 7 counties, 86 cities, business leaders, government, nonprofit organizations together to think about the strategy for Central Florida.
So that's sort of where your thought process.
That's where it starts.
That's where it starts because that's really being cohesive and cooperative in the efforts.
It really is about what we were learning back then. And think about this. In 1999, we did not call Central Florida Central Florida. If you look back at the newspapers,
what did we call them?
We called it Orange County or Orlando.
Oh.
We did not have a cohesive regional identity until the early 2000s, when we started bringing leaders together and say, in the 21st century, it's not about competing with Melbourne, Florida. It's how do we as a region compete with Melbourne, Australia?
Right.
That's
actually smart.
Right? How do we, and so, so what we know in Central Florida is we have the most cooperative leadership group in all of Florida. We have learned to work together across jurisdictional boundaries and across system boundaries.
But how do you accomplish that, though? Because I think, politics aside, it's difficult when everybody has an idea, a mission, then you're in separate counties or cities. Like even Orange County has their own, we have our own mayor, we have our city mayor. There are so many moving parts. How do you all bring people together to realize that it's best to work together and not work as a separate entity?
Shared vision.
Shared vision. Okay, explain that to them. What is that?
Shared vision means any issue, I don't care what the issue is, whether it's homelessness or transportation or economic development, we will be more successful if we figure out what we want to do and where we want to go together.
Agreed.
And it's all about leadership. We can solve any issue if we've got the right leadership direction and focus and commitment. We can do anything. We've proven that over and over and over again, whether it's regional transportation systems, regional successes like all of the development of the venues,
right.
Incredible support and commitment with UCF. I mean, think about this. When I was at UCF, we could graduate everybody in the reflecting pond.
I know.
Right?
I think they still do that, don't they?
No, because now we're the second largest university
in the country, right?
In fact, I just heard we might have overtaken, and we might be number one now. If any of the
any UCF people want to correct us or give us the stats on that.
But we're either one or two when we go back and forth, not just in size, but we're also hitting every academic standard. It's amazing, and it took a regional approach to make that university.
And you have
successful.
to have the cooperative. Everybody has to kind of leave their ego at the door, right? Because if you have a shared vision, that's the goal. Okay, so we're talking utopian here right now, so we're working toward that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. That's funny. But you really do, because in order to have the shared vision, if all you're worried about is your little neck of the woods or your little, whatever your passion or whatever you're working on, and you're not realizing how that passion could be exponentially impacted by working with people. And I think that it's not like you just automatically did that. That's a lot of work to bring everyone together to focus on that.
Because the underlying core of that is you have to trust. And you can't trust if you don't have relationships.
Correct.
And that's so it is about how do you bring people from their different silos together and see the common good in working together. I'll give you a great example back in my region day, when we were talking to a lot of nonprofit organizations, and we said, what is the number one thing? Mark Brewer from the Central Florida Foundation and I did this white paper on this that said, what's the number one thing? If we as a community could help more people rise up out of poverty, what's the number one thing we should focus on? And you know what the social service directors told us?
What?
Transportation.
Really?
That if we could provide transportation to more people, they could get to more jobs and have access to better economic opportunities. So that's in fact one of the impetuses for Sunrail and for a network of working together across this region.
I love that.
Because clearly the lever to help people become more prosperous, you got to get to the jobs.
Well, and isn't that interesting? Because what you did there is you actually asked the people who knew the answer instead of pretending to know the answer or going to people who aren't in the throes of it, in the battlefield every day. And how awesome to ask them that and to listen to their responses, because a lot of times the people who really know what's going on don't get asked.
It's a great point, and I think, you know, I've become just a real advocate for system change, right? You have to think about, first, there's 3 parts to anything that you want to change, whether it's your transportation system, your approach to homelessness. It all follows a very similar formula. It starts with R&D, research and development. You have to know what you want to change
Agreed.
to, right?
I totally agree.
You have to understand it. You have to look and see what other people are doing and the results they've gotten. So you're not reinventing the wheel. We spend so much time reinventing wheels, when in fact there are lots of great experiments here locally and across the country, across the world, that we can learn from. So how do you take best practices? How do you talk to people who are experts?
Right.
And then build a shared vision around that R&D. That's what we've done in what Andre Bailey, at the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness.
Which was such a unique approach. One of the things we talked about before the show came on is that my master's degree is in healthcare, so I did consulting and worked in the local government, even under Paul Sneed. Do you know Paul?
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
So I was just a really young kid back then. But there were always overlays, and there were so many services that everybody was doing the same service, and then there was a whole bunch of gap. Right. And so I love the vision of the commission, because it's trying to bring everybody together so that we're utilizing all of our resources together to address it, instead of there's this entire population or all of these services that aren't even being addressed. And that's really what you're doing.
So any idea how many people, so we cover 3 counties, Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County. Any ideas, Ted, how many organizations, and with the I'm not even counting churches, synagogues, mosques, just nonprofit organizations that touch the issue of homelessness?
It's probably so many, and that's the part that's crazy. Go ahead and tell them.
150.
And so you have 150 organizations prior to the commission that are all working on their own, sort of with the same goal, with the right heart, a servant's heart. We're trying to help people. We want to get them off the street. We want to get them to the services, get them jobs, housing. But everybody's working in their own little corner, and nobody's together. There's no cohesiveness.
And so the goal of the commission is, how do you create a coordinated system of care,
right,
that makes homelessness not go away? It's never going to end. And
Correct.
I think that's one of the misnomers that we started with, is we wanted to end homelessness. You're never going to end homelessness.
You're not.
It's been here since the beginning of time. But what you can do is have a system of care that makes it rare, brief, and one time.
I love that. That's
and
awesome.
That's our goal, is to have a coordinated system of care where everybody's working together and knows very specific outcomes that we want to achieve.
So the commission's formed. You took over from Andre
a
year ago, and happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And you came in, and he and the entire, anybody who's worked with the commission knows what an amazing organization it is, and the organizations that are involved in it are also amazing. Everybody's working toward the same goal. Then you come in, and so what do you do? We've got a project that we want to talk about at some point, because I'm rambling on, because I'm so fascinated. I love having you on the show. But what do you do next? So you come in and you go, okay, this has this momentum. How do I take it to the next level?
Well, one of the things that that Andre did such a wonderful job of is really help the community understand the different types of homelessness. And really, we did a lot of research on best practices relating to that. So, you know, I always ask people, so close your eyes and think about someone who is homeless. What's that picture in your mind? And generally, the response I get is, well, tell me.
Want me to tell you?
What's that picture in your mind?
I think of someone with a shopping cart, and
is it male or female?
Lots of. I don't know why I went right to female. Mainly because I saw the lady who goes up and down Orange Avenue all the time. This morning, I feel so bad for her. She is the one that yells and screams, but she's obviously not gotten to a shower in a while. She's got all of her belongings in one satchel. She just can't bring a cart on the street. But it's that it just looks lonely and dirty, and I feel like they're hungry. So that's what I picture.
And that is the picture of homelessness that most of us see. That's only 20% of our population on homelessness,
Wow.
but they eat up about 80% of our cost.
Wow.
Because by definition, they have a severe mental or physical disability.
Right.
And, back in my day when I was a child, we had institutions. And back in the 60s, we opened up the mental institutions and said, they're awful. They are not run well. We have individual rights, and we need to allow people to leave at any point. Well, that's the first beginning of our chronic homeless population. We did not replace those institutions of care with anything. So where do people go who have been stripped of all of their relationships, are mentally or physically disabled, and can't support themselves? They're on our streets.
Wow. So in opening it up and allowing them to leave, where are they going to go? And there were no aftercare services, I'm sure, at the time.
That's
wow,
right.
That's fascinating. I did not realize that.
So that's where then cropped up the 150 different organizations to start responding and reacting. And for chronic homelessness, what happened maybe about 10 years ago, someone had the absolute crazy idea, the V8 moment, I call it, which is you can't solve homelessness without putting people into homes. So we have adopted in Central Florida, we started this under Andre about 4 years ago, the Housing First model, which says, and this is amazing, if you put someone in a home, if you keep someone on the street, let's start there.
Okay.
That person that you see on the street that isn't in a home, that person is probably costing our community about $35,000 a year.
Wow.
And why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
Well, it's because where are they going for their medical cost? They're going right to the emergency room, right? Over and over and over again. There was one of our neighbors who was out on the street. The Florida hospital documented about $1 million in cost in 3 years.
Wow. First of all, I love you called them a neighbor.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they are our neighbors.
I know.
That's what Andre did such a great job of, is helping us rethink that these are not just those people. They are neighbors in need, and they need our help. And first, they need a home. So $35,000 to keep them out on that street. If we give them a home in this community, and we surround them with the medical care and case management they need. Because think about this. If you're mentally ill and you're given drugs and you're on the street, do you remember to take them?
No.
Can you think about getting to the doctor?
No.
So if we stabilize them, put them in a home, and give them the care they need, the cost drops down to about $12,000 a person.
That's amazing.
So not only is it the right thing to do, it's the cost-effective thing to do.
Which you wouldn't think. I mean, that just goes against what you would think. You would think it would be more costly to provide them that. But
and there's a lot of people who, because they don't know any better, want to say, that guy, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, go get a job.
I know.
Right?
Well, you know what?
They're mentally incapable.
Let's answer that, because I think a lot of people drive by. I drive by 50 and OBT every day.
Glad you're bringing this
and
up.
There are people on the side of the road, and then we all heard about the change in the, I hate the word, but panhandling rules.
It's panhandling.
And so people are like, okay, if you're a woman, is it safe to roll your window down at night? Is it safe for them to be on there? Are you giving money for? I'm rattling these things off.
Let me say
talk
this.
about that.
Yes. There is a difference between panhandling and homelessness. And while there may be some overlap, not all panhandlers are homeless.
I think that's really important to stress.
It is incredibly important to stress.
Because there's one guy at one of the corners, I won't say exactly where, he has a shopping cart every day, but I've watched him, he parks about 4 blocks up, and I've seen him drive off in his beautiful car. And so, but the problem with that, I hate to put that out there, because you don't want to stop giving to everybody.
I would encourage you to stop giving.
Okay, talk about that. I love it, please.
So here is what I have learned, because that was my instinct too. Giving to someone, most often, if you give them money, it's not solving the root issues.
Correct.
So I would challenge all of your audience to not give money. If you want to give water, that's great.
Okay.
If you want to have a bag full of supplies and things that might help them with maybe a coupon for a Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, that's great. If you're going to give money, give it to an organization. I'm going to point you to rethinkhomelessness.org in a minute that can help get them into a home and pay for the services they need to stay stable and get them back on the road to recovery.
I love that.
The individual dollar or two is much better served in helping the system help the individual.
That's such an important discussion, because nobody's ever answered that like that, so I'm so in awe. Because because we all feel guilty.
Right.
I know anybody who says they don't,
No.
You're up there, you're like, do I give them money, do I not? And then sometimes I'm like, I'm on my phone, I don't have any change, my wife doesn't give me any cash, so I don't really have any cash anyway.
Keep water bottles. Keep, a baggie with lotions and shampoo and soap. That's very useful. But I will tell you, and I will tell this to your audience, in downtown Orlando especially, there is not one person who will ever go hungry in downtown Orlando. There are meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, provided at all of our Salvation Army, the Coalition for the Homeless, and you can find all of these resources. There's a great website that the library runs. It's called rightservicesflorida.org. And if you go there and you say, I need to know where people can get housed, or I need to know where people can get fed, it will bring up, and I'm in Orange County or I'm in Osceola County, it actually covers all 67 counties.
That is so awesome.
The library has done an incredible service, and no one knows about it, so I'm their biggest champion.
We're going to make sure that we share that URL after when we post the video, because that's so important.
And make sure, you should bring the library in sometime. They're doing amazing stuff.
I should. I didn't even think about it. You know what's funny is you think about, if you've ever been to the library or passed by the library, your thought process is that's where anybody on the street goes to change, shower, use the restroom, whatever it is. And the library has been mostly, as far as I can tell, pretty lenient on that.
They're very empathetic, because you know what? We all should have a place to go if we want to go. One of our problems with our chronically homeless is we don't have a drop-in center. So even if I've housed, and we have in Central Florida, following the Housing First. This is just so big, and it's a lot in part because of the city of Orlando, who gave a gift of $1 million. Florida Hospital gave a gift of $8 million to create this coordinated system of care and provide services as a pilot. So during this pilot, we have in Central Florida, 3 counties now housed over 800 of our most chronically homeless individuals.
That's amazing.
Those people who are going to die on the street if we don't get them into homes. And that brings me to,
we're going to talk about the Welcome Home Project.
So as I came in,
you're good at segues. I like that.
I'm good at segues. Well, this is so important to us as a community. So
we have a button on, don't we?
We do.
Can't see it, but I'm going to let you see it later.
So every person in our community, in my mind, is home worthy. Not homeless, but worthy of a home. And when you think about that, can you imagine? We live in one of the most prosperous regions of the world.
We do.
And we have people, about 1,000, who we still have who need homes. Now they're still in all kind of assessment, and we're trying to evaluate what they need and how they need it. But we got stuck about 4 months ago where we had housed these 800. We had about 129.
That's a great story.
We had 129 where we were just stuck because our housing location team, and that's part of an organization called HSN, was not able to find one-bedroom apartments or efficiencies for these people who have been assessed, have case managers, have rent that comes with them. They're ready to go, and we could not find them homes. So we're now going to the community and saying, we want to bring these folks home. So we're looking, there's 3 things you can do.
Yeah, tell them, because I love this.
If you go to rethinkhomelessness.org, we need 3 things. If you're a landlord, or you know a landlord who would be willing to have their rents paid, these tenants are case managed. They have a bonus. If you're in Orange County, you get $1,000 bonus, $500 when you sign up on this program, and $500 after someone stayed with you for 6 months.
Wow.
In Kissimmee, there's a $500 bonus, $250. All these guarantees that make it so
The bonus
easy.
to the landlord?
To the landlord.
Okay, that's important to, so the bonus to the landlord.
Because we know it's such a tight rental market, we want to make this so easy and so predictable for the landlords. Landlords are our heroes. We cannot solve homelessness without homes.
Them. So have you reached out, and we can talk about it later, have you reached out to NAPRM, which is the National Association of Professional Property Managers?
They're one of the groups that we're going to. We're also meeting with the realtors, apartment associations. We're trying to uncover anybody out there who has starting especially for these chronic, because remember, they're the ones who are at the highest level of risk in our community of dying on the street. So we want to start with them first, but we've got a whole backlog of people who are going to come right behind that 129. So we are looking for landlords who are interested in working with us.
So we have
that's number one.
I'm not going to put her on the spot, but Kim Meredith Hampton, I'm going to totally put you on the spot. She is the president, if I'm not mistaken, of the Florida Property Manager Association. So we must meet you because they have an initiative. I know they do nationally. So that's amazing, because that's what you want. You need to get in front of those people, all of those people, because they're the answer.
They're the answer.
That's awesome. All right, so number 2. You had a number 2 and a 3, I think.
So if you're an individual, so think about any of us who move into a home. What do you need? You need furniture, you need linens, you need all those things to make your house a home.
Right.
So it costs on average about $2,500 to move an individual who has nothing into a home, to make it from a house to a home. So if you're an individual, we have worked with Thomas Waterman, who I know has been on your
We love Thomas, and his mom Jen is watching too. Hi, Jen.
And Thomas has created a crowdsourcing site on their backstory page.
So she's got a question, Jessica Henlin, and I think it's an important one because I bet you other people are thinking it.
What?
Jessica, hey Jessica, I'm on the website now. Are there any special instructors or instructions maybe for homeowners who would like to be landlords?
I'm not sure what the...
Well, maybe she wants to know. I think you'll reach out. I'm going to put you in touch with Shelley, Jessica, because that's a great question. I think people will want to know, okay, what do we have to have? Where does it have to be? Square footage, or does it have to be zoned a certain way? I'm sure there's a lot of questions. If you'll call me, I will get you in contact directly with the housing location team. That's awesome.
So that you can, all of your specific questions
Great question,
can get answered.
Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so go.
So if you're an individual,
then
you can go to rethinkhomelessness.org and become a hero. And if you've got $5 or $5,000 and you want to help move an individual, have the moving costs covered, you can contribute whatever you like. And I'm pleading for any organization out there. I don't care if you're a church. I don't care if you're a bank. I'm looking at Chase. Right across. If you can crowdsource to your own organization and raise the funding needed. Last night, C&L Bank just gave us $32,000 to move in approximately 14 of our neighbors into homes. Isn't that
my
great?
God.
So since we've started, we've raised over $67,000 for moving cost, and we've identified 5 or 6, maybe 10 new landlords that we're working with to help us move.
Awesome.
We need the community helping us do this. So if you're a landlord, property owner, if you're an individual, which
how about
we
a
all
mover?
are,
How about the moving companies? All the moving companies that I talk to on a weekly basis.
I can put you to work.
That's awesome.
And if you're an organization, helping us make 129 individuals become home worthy, and that's the goal of this project.
I love it.
And sometime then, I want to come back to you and talk to you about our family homelessness, which is really our tsunami. It is the hidden part of homelessness that we don't have enough resources for, and we don't have our arms around.
Well, it's kind of like that CNN report in Seminole County. Is that like
that's
where
exactly
everybody?
Right.
Yeah, so where everybody, and you guys probably saw it. I heard a lot about it when
Years
it hit.
ago. Mm-hmm.
Where there are so many families that are sharing stuff, and they're all on. I'm using 192, but it could be anywhere. They're all in hotels, and there's such a catch-22 because if they become known that they're there are some interesting laws or perception of laws where they have to take the kids out, and nobody wants to let people know they're in there, and whether that's right or wrong, that's what the feeling is. And so it wasn't CNN, it was 60 Minutes, I think, did an amazing report in our backyard. Seminole County, although Osceola County has it, Orange County has it. And so you have these families who are staying in these one-room hotels, barely getting by, but paying that weekly, whatever it is.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but they're not in their cars, and the kids get to go to school until somebody finds out. And so let's talk about that, because that came up a lot.
So chronic homelessness are those neighbors who have a severe mental or physical disability. With families, it tends to be economics. They can't afford to live in Central Florida anymore. Right. We are pricing ourselves out of the marketplace.
Correct.
So, in Central Florida, the definition for family homelessness by the Department of Education is anyone who's doubled up, living in their cars or on the street, or are in one of these very unstable environments like a hotel. We have in Central Florida in 3 counties 12,000 identified students. Identified, because some don't ever identify themselves. 12,000, and that doesn't include any child from 0 to 5, preschool.
Wow. So
we know it's underrepresented, and it is getting exacerbated every day by the influx of our neighbors from the islands who are coming in. I heard a report yesterday in Osceola County, 2,400 families have been seen in Osceola County relocating from Puerto Rico. And I think, it was like 2,200 kids in the school system in a matter of a couple months.
So imagine you're still getting your kid to school. Thank God. I mean, that's awesome. But they're coming home to a hotel room that there might be 4 families in. Or they're coming to a car. You can't make that up either. I mean, people think that that's made up. I'm telling you that is a reality. And the families are staying in a car. That's where they stay.
In our community. And do we want to be a community where that is acceptable?
It's heartbreaking.
No, we just can't. And then the third population, which we're just... So we've done the research and development on families. We know we're starting a pilot on how to better help families, and it goes back to housing again. Getting them stably housed, but also helping them on retraining or education that gets them and moves them up the path of self-sufficiency. So we're planning a pilot there. Our third population is youth homelessness, unaccompanied youth from the ages. Now get this, I'm a mom and a grandmom. This breaks my heart. We have young people in our community, 13 through 24, who are not associated with a family at all. They are running away because they are in crisis. For whatever reason, they are in crisis. For the first time ever, and we may be the first region in the country that has done a Voices of Youth count, where we just went out and tried to identify and talk to young people to find out what they need and how we can better help them. So we're just in the R&D stage, actually, for this population. So you'll be hearing more about that from us as well. So those three populations all require different strategies, different funding mechanisms, but we can't forget any of them. We can't. And we have to figure out a community strategy for each population to move it so that we have, again, a coordinated system of care that makes any of that kind of homelessness rare, brief, and one time.
I love that. And I think that, we're going to post the hashtags. Thanks, Danielle. Thank you guys for all your comments, too. They love you, Shelley. There's a whole bunch of people saying that. And talking real about it. I think that's what happens. So people want to talk real about it, but they don't want to seem crass. Or they want to talk real about it, but they read something in the media and it's all glossed over. So we have to figure out how to come together, and that's what Shelley's organization does and what the project is doing and what we as a community are attempting to do.
One of the things I've learned in my time in this, and I hope you can see that I'm so passionate about this, that
it's palpable.
These are our neighbors, and we can't walk past them anymore.
No.
And yes, sometimes that can be scary, but I will tell you, one of the best things that we've done since I've gotten at the commission is we've started up a volunteer program where we help the outreach team in downtown Orlando go out twice a month, and we go talk to our neighbors who are on the street, and we go listen to them and learn from them.
That's so
and
important.
What we realize is they're not scary. They're in crisis, and they live here whether we want them to or not.
That's correct. They're here. I love the neighbors. I love that. They're our neighbors.
And we need, and again, because of their issues, we need to take it one person at a time and help them where they are and where they want to go.
Right.
So it's a big issue. It's a tough issue, but like I said at the beginning, Ted, it's a leadership issue. It's a community issue. We can solve this. We have.
I love that though. We can solve it.
We can solve it.
It's not, and I love the advice that you gave everyone today. I'm sorry, I've got the cough. Where can they go? We're gonna post all this later. We went 40 minutes. I love it though. I was not going to stop that. I know I could too, because this is such an important topic. And neighbors, God, that's my takeaway right now, because I love that.
And the button is...
Oh yeah, we've got a button, and I'm going to take a picture of it later.
Everyone is home worthy, and think about it. Could you imagine, whether you're suffering from a mental or physical illness, whether you're a family who just can't make it in Central Florida, you're a young person, that you're living on our street with no home to go to? I just can't imagine.
I can't either. But statistically, and it's probably changed a little bit, but there are an even larger potential influx of people who are about 1 month away, depending on any severity or something crazy that happened in their lives, from being homeless.
Well, one of the stats that I am always using is that 46% of our population, that's 3 counties, it's about 1.2 million people, do not have access to $400 in cash or credit.
Wow.
Which means you're one car breakdown, one health bill, one issue away from becoming my population.
Correct.
And so we have to understand the housing issues. Our housing is too expensive.
It's insane.
Our transportation costs are too much. I heard a planner say to me the other day, and I use this all the time, if you are a family in Central Florida, if you have 1 job in your household, you need 1 car. If you have 2 jobs in your household, you need 2. Probably if you have 3 jobs in your household, you need 3 cars. Think of the expense of that.
It's outrageous.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
So transportation becomes hugely important. Healthcare is a huge, huge issue. All of these factors have to work together if we're going to solve this issue.
Well, you're balancing so much, and I think what all the work that you're doing and everyone who is part of the commission is doing is just amazing. We need it, and we
need
believe it or
community.
not, we need the community.
Yep.
We're actually one of the most advanced. I feel like our community is so cohesive. We're willing to listen to each other, and we need to continue to tap into that. And there are ways for you to get involved, and Shelley will post all those. And I'll share them.
Thank you.
Because there is, and even she said $5. And I'm not here doing the Jerry Lewis telethon right now, but that is such a small amount of money. Or get involved, or both.
Come
and
volunteer.
So we're going to post all of that after the show. You are a gem. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for giving me this
I
opportunity.
absolutely love this topic because it is solvable.
And our goal is 129 people in 129 days. So bring me back in 129 days.
I love that. And we're going to post the flyer that Shelley brought, but you'll be able to see that probably all over the websites and everything. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Shelley, for being here. You guys are awesome. We love you. Thanks for all the comments. I'll make sure Shelley, I know she will, she'll reach out to each of you. And a lot of people ask questions and stuff, and I'll let you respond to those.
Okay, great.
We love you. Thanks for the support. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thanks. Bye.